AI sovereignty. I've heard that phrase for years, and honestly, I tuned it out. Sounded like something a think tank invents so it has a panel to put on a conference. Then, June 2026 happened, and yeah, I'm eating my words a little. The US government pulled the plug on one of the most powerful AI models on the planet, and about 10 days later a Tokyo startup shrugged and shipped away around it. So today we're getting into how a Washington export ban on Anthropic's top models kicked off what's starting to look like Asia's AI independence moment. Kind of by accident. There's a billion-dollar startup in here, there's a pufferfish, and there's at least one guy on X who is very worked up about what sovereignty even means. If you're new, hit subscribe, because this story is still moving, and I don't think it's done. Let's back up. Anthropic, the company behind Claude, has a top shelf that sits above even their flagship Opus line. It's called Mythos, with a more locked-down sibling called Fable. Basically the tier where even Anthropic goes. We're not just handing this out, we need to trust you first. Cybersecurity research, heavy science, that kind of thing. And in June, the US government looked at that and went, yeah, we don't trust just anyone with this either. Except their version of that was an order that cut off access to both Mythos 5 and Fable 5, and not just in a few countries. When it dropped on June 12th, both models went dark worldwide. The order banned access for any foreign national anywhere. Anthropic couldn't check everybody's passport in real time, so they just shut the whole thing off for everyone. And this fits a bigger thing that's been happening in DC. Keep the sharpest stuff, especially anything close to finding software vulnerabilities, away from certain governments. And look, Anthropic's own leadership had just spent weeks writing essays about how frontier labs sometimes need to pull models back when the risk gets too high. So in a weird way, Washington agreed with them. It just did the pulling itself, on its own clock, without asking. And here's the thing about yanking a product that big. It doesn't just pause, it leaves a hole, and holes like that don't stay empty for long. Now here's where it gets messier, and I don't think enough people are connecting these two threads. 2 days before that ban, on June 10th, Anthropic's head of policy sent a letter to a Senate committee. And I want to be careful here, because these are Anthropic's accusations. Alibaba denies them, and nobody outside Anthropic has confirmed the numbers. But according to that letter, operators tied to Alibaba and its Quen AI lab ran about 25,000 fake accounts. They had nearly 29 million conversations with Claude over roughly 6 weeks. And the goal, allegedly, was to copy how it thinks and codes and train up something that could rival Mythos. So if that's true, the front door was getting locked while somebody was climbing in through a window the whole time. Which pokes a hole in the entire point of the ban, right? You can control who logs in. You can't really stop someone from copying the model's answers at scale from the outside. Anyway, enter Sakana AI, Tokyo-based, founded in 2023 by David Ha, Lion Jones. And yes, that Lion Jones, one of the co-authors on Attention is All You Need, the paper that basically gave us the architecture your phone is running right now. Plus, Ren Ito, former exec at Mercari and Stability AI. So this is not some no-name garage team that got lucky. These are people who helped pour the foundation the whole industry stands on. Their product is called Fugu, which, fun fact, is the Japanese word for pufferfish. I'm going to assume that name wasn't random. Now watch the timeline, because this is where people get it wrong. Fugu's full launch landed June 22nd, 10 days after the ban, but they did not build it in 10 days. Sakana opened the public beta back in late April, almost 2 months before the ban even happened. The product was already coming. What the ban did was hand it the best launch window you could ask for. And Sakana clearly knew it, because you go read the copy on their site, and it's daring you to think it's a coincidence, leaning hard on lines like frontier capability without the risk of export controls. They also weren't starting from zero. They'd already raised a big round backed by Japanese megabanks, and notably, Nvidia. And Ren Ito had been making this exact point for a while, that US models matter a ton across Asia, but betting everything on one provider was a risk nobody had priced in. Then Washington priced it in for everybody at once. Fugu is not a new frontier model. Sakana didn't train some giant rival to Mythos. Fugu is an orchestrator. Its whole job is to sit in front of a bunch of other models and decide, in real time, who handles the task. It routes between GPT 5.5, Claude Opus, Gemini 3.1 Pro, a pool of open source stuff, then stitches the results into one clean answer. So instead of building a brain, Sakana built a really good manager. And on paper, the manager performs. Mid-90s on GPKA Diamond, low 90s on Live Code Bench, right in the same range as Fable and Mythos. Those are Sakana's own numbers. No outside lab has reproduced them yet. For a company that trained 0 frontier models of its own, that's a strange thing to pull off. On price, if you're actually thinking about switching, Fugu Ultra runs about $5 per million input tokens and 30 per million output, and that roughly doubles once you pass 250,000 tokens of context. Subscriptions run $20 to $200 a month depending on tier. Not in the EU yet. They're still sorting compliance, so hang tight if that's you. And this isn't a weekend project. Sakana's valued north of $2.5 billion, with those same megabanks and Nvidia. Sit with that for a sec. When the company selling the chips is also funding the workaround for another company's export ban, that tells you how this is being read inside the industry. But specs on a page are one thing. Actually using it is another. One developer ran Fugu Ultra against Opus, building a simple Crossy Road clone, just to see. Fugu finished in about 22 minutes for around $7. Opus took closer to an hour and 20 and cost him about $38. But here's the part that matters. The same guy said he preferred what Opus built. Cheaper and faster doesn't automatically mean better. And other early testers said the same, that there's real distance between what the benchmark chart promises and what a long, messy task actually delivers. Developer forums are split down the middle, plenty of people out there calling it a fancy wrapper and not much more. To be fair to Sakana, the core pitch isn't crazy, leaning on one company's API for national infrastructure, banking, government systems. That's a real weak spot, because access can vanish overnight on a policy call made in another country, which is exactly what just happened. So the fix is spread across multiple providers. One gets cut off, you route around it, you keep going. Kind of like how the Walker S2 robot swaps in a fresh battery instead of standing there waiting to charge. Except here, the thing getting swapped is a whole AI company. Not everyone's buying it though, and I get why. Critics point out that Fugu still depends on whatever models are in its pool, and a bunch of those are closed systems from the exact companies you're supposedly getting away from. One engineer put it bluntly, before, you didn't control the underlying model. Now you don't even control which one gets picked, or how much of it you're getting. Building a slick router around other people's black boxes is a different thing from owning your own stack. Cleanest way I can say it, they found a really good travel agent. That's not nothing. It's also not independence. And Sakana wasn't the only one moving. Around the same window, China's Qihoo 360 reportedly rolled out its own pair of AI security tools. One hunts down software vulnerabilities automatically. The other handles automated defense. Different angle from Sakana's hedging pitch. 360's founder went straight for the national asset framing, warning about a future where only a few countries can see every software flaw while everyone else guesses. Same ban, same window, not depending on the US, looks like. And it kept going. Chinese labs like Zhipu and Moonshot pushed out their own open-weight models within days of the ban, which is fast even for them, basically daring anyone to keep leaning on a US provider that could vanish overnight. Zhipu's co-founder framed it as, frontier intelligence should belong to everyone, not just whoever Washington decides to trust that month. So zoom out. In about 2 weeks, off one export decision, you've got Japan hedging through orchestration, China racing ahead on open weights, and a separate Chinese firm charging straight at the cybersecurity ground Mythos got pulled over. Those aren't 3 random headlines. Put them together, and you've got a whole region deciding, at the same moment, that it was done waiting to see what Washington allows next. Now, one update, because this moved again while I was making it. On July 1st, the US reversed the whole thing. Commerce lifted the controls, Fable 5 came back online globally, and Mythos got partially restored to a set of approved US organizations. So the ban that started all this lasted about 3 weeks, which honestly makes the scramble more interesting, because everyone who rushed to build a lifeboat now gets to ask whether the ship was ever really sinking. But the models coming back doesn't unteach the lesson. The whole world just watched access to the most powerful AI on the planet get switched off everywhere by one government letter, then switched back on by another. That weak spot is real, whether or not anyone's pushing on it right now. So where does that leave us? A ban meant to keep the sharpest American AI out of certain hands ended up doing something Washington probably didn't want. It handed Asian AI companies a headline and a public reason to move faster. Sakana keeps saying the timing was a coincidence, and maybe it was, but nobody accidentally writes frontier capability without the risk of export controls into their own launch page. Whether Fugu becomes a real step toward AI independence or just a well-dressed wrapper around the same American and Chinese models underneath, that's still up in the air. What's not up in the air is that this ban did way more than pause one product. It set off a scramble across a whole region to make sure nobody gets caught like that again. So what do you think? Is something like Fugu a legit hedge against putting all your eggs in one provider's basket? Or is it sovereignty theater sitting right on top of the models it claims to be escaping? Drop it in the comments. And if you want to keep up with where this goes, because I don't think this is the last export ban we'll be talking about, subscribe. No hype, no spin, just what's actually shaping who controls this stuff. Thanks for watching.